What is going on, y'all, and welcome back. Today I'm going to be breaking down some of the mechanics and logic behind the spawning of creatures in Valheim. So let's jump right into it. First off, you're going to have to know that there's 5 places where spawning actually takes place in Valheim. You have spawn zones, which contain multiple types of enemies. You have respawn and one-time spawn points. And then you also have, of course, creature spawners like the Grey Dwarf Nest and body piles that will spawn different classes and levels of whatever type of creature that is spawning. And lastly, we have Forsaken Altars and raid events. But as for spawn zones, so when you enter an area in Valheim, the game will randomly choose between spawn points, spawn areas from up to 40 to 80 meters away from you to populate with creatures. The logic behind these spawn zones is that every 4 seconds, an area containing a player will attempt to process its spawners. Only if the conditions are right will the spawn be valid, such as the spawn interval, the time of day, weather, creature limit, blocked by structures or buildings, anything workbenches, portals, they'll have a certain area to stop it, and the suppression limit counts as well. And when it comes to spawning in creatures, some of them do even have more in-depth requirements such as water depth and altitude. But all creatures do have a group cap, and it also doubles as the number of spawns that an area will attempt, whether they're good or bad. So for example, when you come into a spawn zone for seagulls, which could be anywhere, they spawn in all biomes, Ocean 2, they have a respawn rate of 120 seconds, so that's 2 minutes, with a 50% chance to spawn every 4 seconds, any time of day in groups of 1 to 2, with a cap of 5, spawned in a zone of up to 51 meters. So that's the suppression. So with a 50% chance for them to spawn, and you only get 5 spawns whether they fail or succeed. That's 5 this time too, remember, because the birds have a spawn cap of 5. And I don't know the odds they spawn in pairs, but including that, even the best odds you get, assuming that you get 2 spawns of 2 and 1 spawn of 1, your odds are like around 1 in 10. But even with those crappy odds, after a while you still have to leave the zone, so it'll reprocess and spawn more birds after the cap is reached. Now this same concept applies to every creature in Valheim, just to different values. This applies to fish as well. They have spawn zones with suppression limits of up to 20 meters and a max cap of 5 in that area. So if you're trying to farm a spawn zone, I would recommend going at least 40 meters plus, sealing all other water in the area so that you have an increased chance of the fish spawning in that exact spot that you have set up for them, allowing you to continuously farm fish after they've reached their cap of 5, which when I made my fish farm video right there, I didn't have all these details in front of me, so I couldn't thoroughly explain the spawning mechanics. That's why I'm going back and covering my ass right now. But nonetheless, the same values, like I said before, apply to everything, like sea serpent, which can be spawned every 4 seconds as well from up to 80 meters with a terrible respawn rate of 1,000 seconds, which is like 17 minutes, with only a 5% chance to spawn, which only increases to 10% at night and rain, which night and rain don't compound, unfortunately, in this case. But since they only spawn 1 at a time and they only have a cap of 1 in their spawn area, so you can only ever receive 1 serpent in 1 area. So unless you've passed through that area and missed a serpent and then came back with another one, that's the only way you'll ever have multiple serpents in 1 area. So just basic odds of you getting a serpent are like 1 in 20 in 17 minutes during the day. So good rule of thumb is if you don't get one when you enter an area, just to keep going, because if you don't get one as soon as you enter, it's gonna take 20 minutes for it to reset. But this is also why serpent hunting is best done at night, moving slow so you can scan the horizon, hopefully with a little bit of rain. That way you increase your odds at least to 10%, better than your 5%. And then of course still being vigilant, since they can spawn 80 meters away from you, which is crazy. It's like 40 blocks, so you have to be prepared, looking in your rear. And know this, all creatures spawned at night will eventually despawn. So if you're planning on taking nighttime Nessie here back to your base to stick in your pool, just know she's not going to be there very long. But if you've been getting something out of this video, don't forget to hit the like button for me and subscribe to catch all things Valheim. I'm almost to 1,000 subscribers. Help your boy out. It's greatly appreciated. Now lastly, when it comes to leveled creatures, every creature has a 15% chance of spawning 1 star and only a 2.25% chance to be a 2 star, if that creature can even level to that state, since seeing as how like sea serpents can't natively spawn 2 stars yet in Valheim. So if you ever see one in a video or something, it's BS. And boars of course have an exception, where you have to venture out past 800 meters from the center of the map to have them begin to level up. But I don't think the multiplayer compound applies on the creatures the same as it does on the enemy mobs. I'm not 100% sure on that. I couldn't find any literature to back that up either way as well. But that is all I have for you guys today, folks. I appreciate y'all stopping by and checking out the video. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch y'all in the next one.